How many of you are superstitious out there? Well, I'm not superstitious. I'm very superstitious. So recent history would tell you that Dillon Gabriel, being a now sizable Heisman betting favorite, doesn't bode well for his Heisman chances. And can trends be broken? Yes, of course. Of course, trends can always, they don't last forever. Dillon Gabriel is plus 550 to win the Heisman. Carson Beck is next behind him at plus 800, and then Quinn Ewers at plus 1200. Those are the quarterbacks at Georgia and Texas, respectively, if you did not know. So I'll start with the less ideal aspect of this from a superstition standpoint, and then I will get to the positive element of it. Last year, Caleb Williams went into the season as a plus 500 Heisman favorite. USC had a horrible year. Jaden Daniels was actually second at plus 1,000. Michael Penix and Quinn Ewers were plus 1,200. Cade Klubnik and Jordan Travis were plus 1,600. Those were your top 5 Heisman odds going into the season, according to our friends at FanDuel. Bo Nix, by the way, was kind of in the next group after the top 5 at plus 1,800. And had Oregon won the Pac-12 championship game, Bo Nix would have won the Heisman. So you would think based on that year, well, you don't want to be inside the top 5. Well, Jaden Daniels did win the Heisman. His team didn't have a great year. Caleb Williams was the favorite after being the reigning Heisman winner. His team did not have a great year, but Penix and Ewers did. Klubnik and Travis, one not so good, one very good from a team standpoint. The year before, in 2022, preseason Heisman favorite by a substantial amount, C.J. Stroud. He did not win the Heisman. Who did? The preseason number 2, Bryce Young, plus 400. Caleb Williams was plus 600. Sorry, Bryce Young was the Heisman winner the year prior. Caleb Williams went on to win it. He was the preseason number 3. So being inside the top 5, based on recent trends, is a good indicator that you have a chance to win the Heisman. And by the way, in 2022, just a fun tidbit here, DJ Uiagalelei, whilst at Clemson, he's now at Florida State, his third school, was plus 2,500. Will Anderson and Dillon Gabriel were next at tied for 5th in the preseason Heisman odds when Gabriel first got to Oklahoma at plus 3,000. And now here he is, the preseason Heisman betting favorite. And if you go look at the history of preseason favorites to win the Heisman, they almost never win the Heisman Trophy. But that's the bad superstition side. But here's the more factual, frankly, upward look at it from Oregon's standpoint. Dillon Gabriel being the Heisman favorite is a reflection of how Vegas, which only exists to make money and get things right far more often than not, feels about Oregon's team. If you put Dillon Gabriel on, just as an example, Washington, is he sniffing the top 10 Heisman odds? No, I don't think so. Because what do you have to win a Heisman Trophy? A team that puts you in the national spotlight, that puts you on big games, that gives you a chance to actually win those big games. You have to either have that or you do the Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson approach where you put up numbers that are so crazily stupid and good that you just have to get the Heisman Trophy, but also you might need some help if you don't have the team success. So Vegas feels really confident in Oregon's team success. And guess what? So am I. And Dillon Gabriel's a reason why. Do I think he's going to win the Heisman? No. Do I care? Not really. Would it be great? Of course. Am I rooting for him to win the Heisman? Duh. Of course I want him to win the Heisman Trophy. I would like Oregon to win the Heisman Trophy every year. It's great for the branding of the program, and it's also just an exciting thing to watch. And I remember the day very vividly that Mariota won it, and that was such an awesome thing to see. Like, wow, an Oregon player has finally broken through, won the Heisman Trophy. Could Dillon Gabriel do that? Well, history tells you he'd have to put up the best numbers of his career. He's got the best team that he's been on in his college career, though, so he's got that going for him. Making the adjustment in 1 year, though, to a new environment to have a Heisman winning season, it's hard. It is incredibly hard. Caleb Williams, for instance, played a little at Oklahoma before going to USC and winning the Heisman. Or you think about a guy like Joe Burrow. He had one season with LSU before he popped in his second year. Bo Nix was on track to win the Heisman last year in his second season with the Ducks. It is really, really hard, even for a talented player, to go to a new location and have a Heisman Trophy caliber season. I'm not saying it's never happened before, but it's tough. It is tough, and the threshold is so high. So generally for quarterbacks, you have to have over 4,500 yards and account for at least 45 touchdowns. If you look at the Heisman Trophy winners from the past several seasons, they have somewhere between 4,500 and 5,000 or more yards. Joe Burrow, by the way. Think about this. Michael Penix last year threw for just under 5,000 yards. Joe Burrow in his Heisman season 2019 went for 5,600 yards. Pretty sure Bryce Young had a 5,000 plus yard season. Those be some crazy numbers. Oregon's going to run the ball too well, too often, and too successfully, which is the same thing as too well, so I kind of repeated myself, whatever. They're going to do that too much for Dillon Gabriel to have the chance, though he's got the receiving core to throw for that many yards. Oregon's not running the Mike Leach air raid here, RIP. But I just saw that and thought, wow, it's one thing for him to be the favorite, but I think it's as much a reflection of Oregon's team as it is of Gabriel, who I like, and there's no other quarterback in the Big Ten that I would rather have. I think Oregon has the better quarterback in all 12 games going into this season for 2024. Down the line, sure, some young guys could pop, but going into this season, Oregon's got the better quarterback in all 12 games. Turns out that gives you a really good chance to win. Gives you a really, really good chance to win. So I think for Gabriel, it's great for him to get that sort of attention and respect for the career that he has had, because he put up great numbers last year, and Oklahoma was a good team, and he was a part of, the rebuild when Lincoln Riley left. But, plus 550 to Carson Beck being plus 800, that's a sizable gap. Caught my eye. I don't think Gabriel wins, but gosh, I hope he does. That'd be a heck of a story. And then people would get upset because he will have played more games than Bo Nix. I think because Bo Nix is a bigger name in college football than Dillon Gabriel, you're not going to see that narrative kind of fly around just in, passive comments and whatnot about, oh man, is Bo Nix back for an 8th year? How many games he started, or he's, probably married with 3 kids or whatever. Bo Nix was married last year, admittedly. But I just think that I think Gabriel is in a really, really good spot. Superstition would tell you it's not great to be the preseason Heisman betting favorite. I'd also rather have a national championship than a Heisman Trophy. So I'm not worried about Oregon trying to goose his stats to go win the Heisman Trophy. They just want to win. They just want to. And by the way, if Oregon gets to the national championship level and Gabriel's having the sort of season I expect him to, he could make his way to New York. It's just that there are a lot of other really good players in college football. That's why I have been and continue to be, pumping the brakes on Dillon Gabriel's Heisman chances. I don't think they're non-existent. The landscape of college football, though, it's really hard. It's really hard, and a lot of things have to go your way. But Dillon Gabriel, Oregon quarterback, your Heisman betting favorite going into the season, which starts in 2 days. So